Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to call to order the November 18th, 2019 Old Bridge Township Council meeting. Please stand for a Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for a moment of silence and for our prayer.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As customary in this chamber, we stand for a moment of silence to remember those who are protecting our freedoms, both here and abroad, for our first responders, and for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. A moment of silence, please. Our prayer, Mr. Pasquitti.
Dear Lord, bless thy servants in the ministry of public affairs who serve thee in this chamber. Give us quiet minds and hearts that we may hear thy voice. Help us to know when to speak, when to be silent. Give us strength to oppose the wrong and uphold the right, and grant that we have a good conscience and soul at peace with thee and with one another. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Thank you.
This meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the newspaper, and notice of the meeting has been posted in public places. Next open public meeting of the council will be held on Monday, December 16th, 2019, at 7:30 p.m. Mr. Cahill.
Here.
Dr. Greenberg. Here. Mr. Merwin.
Here.
Mr. Murphy.
Here.
Mr. Pasquitti.
Here.
Mr. Rizzoli.
Here.
Mrs. Walker.
Here.
President Sohar.
Here.
8 present.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We will be starting the evening with presentations. The first will be the New Jersey JIF Award presentation. Good evening.
Turn this around. Okay. So good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to come and present today. I'm Zach Edelman from Fairview Insurance. We're your insurance broker. We've been the broker for the last 6 years. 4 years ago, we did a very competitive bidding process, and we made a recommendation. Himanshu, the mayor, and the team, as well as the voting board, went with the intergovernmental JIF. Since that date, it's been over $1 million in cumulative savings, tripled the safety services, and overall safer plan throughout Old Bridge. I'm just going to turn this over to, it's a great team, monthly safety meetings, everyone's involved, they're watching the dollars. I'm going to turn this over to Eric Nemeth, who is the co-administrator for the Intergovernmental Joint Insurance Fund, to talk about the Safety Award.
Zach, Mayor, members of the council, pleasure to be here this evening. I'm here with Rijit Khan from my office, Tim Weir from PMA, our safety control consultant. We wanted to take the opportunity to, again, thank you for being a member of the Intergovernmental Fund. We've been, the JIF has been in operation for almost 30 years. Old Bridge is a younger member, probably on the order of 4 years or so, but in those 4 years, you've had quite an impact. Through Himanshu Shah's involvement, Avril Lamaj, you guys are active on the safety committees and the operating committees of the JIF, help us control our costs and bring services to our members. One of the things that we do, and a JIF, just by way of background, it's a pooled insurance program where the members operate the JIF for the benefit of all the other members. It's a pooled insurance group. And what we do is we try to save money every year, and one of the ways of saving money for our members is to drive down the costs of claims. And by doing that, we have a very strong and active safety committee. What we've done is provided incentive to our members to try to bring down those costs. And what they do is we provide incentives to the members by granting an award, a financial award, and a plaque to indicate if you've achieved the elements that are required to meet those safety standards. And so during the course of 2018, Old Bridge achieved that standard. So as a result, we're pleased today to present this plaque and a financial award of $1,000 to the Township. And if you don't mind, I'll just read briefly what the plaque says. And Mayor, this is for you and the council. It says, 2018 Safety Incentive Program Award. The NJIF presents this to the Township of Old Bridge in recognition of the efforts by the Township to create and maintain a safe environment for its employees, volunteers, residents, and visitors. And I thank you for your participation and your involvement, Mayor. Thank you. My question is, who's taking the money? Who's taking the money?
Before you take a picture, I just want to recognize the two people that basically runs our safety committee, Frank Speranza and Ariel Lamage. And what they do every month, they meet, they review the claims along with the JIP membership and a PMA being there. They review every claims, what happened, why it happened, and what we can change, and they continue to improve on that. And I think those efforts is really what resulted in this achievement tonight. So I want to thank both Frank and Avril for their efforts in that.
Thank you guys very much.
Thanks very much.
No problem.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening. Thank you. Will be an overview for Township snow operations. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Council President. Thank you. Tonight, Kyle and Matt will jointly present the getting ready for the snow seasons, and we thought it would be a good idea that we can, talk to the council and the public of our preparedness for the snow season. Kyle?
Thank you, Council President Sohar. I'm joined here with John Tooley, he's the Senior Foreman for Public Works, and Casey Lenning, Foreman with Public Works. This is the first year that Matt and I have really combined our snow efforts to get pretty much the most bang for our buck. We'll have all of the township resources available at all times for snow removal. It's going to be a real good step moving forward. And Matt and I will be working very closely on making this happen. So, just a little overview as to the equipment and personnel we have for snow removal. We have, between the Parks Maintenance and the Department of Public Works, we have 34 full-time employees. We also, last season, started hiring per diem snowplow removal operators. This is basically, when you get into shift work, some of the employees have to go home and rest. But then at that same time, we will have trucks sitting idle in the DPW yard that could be out plowing snow to avoid us having to bring in additional contractors. So with these per diems, it keeps all the township resources moving at all times. So we have 28 plow trucks, 7 loaders, and 17 salt spreaders in the entire fleet. Over the last few years, we've also been working to diversify the fleet. Probably about 6 or 7 years ago, the Public Works Department went from mostly pickup trucks to the addition of mason dumps. Probably 3 years ago, they started adding single axle dump trucks. As of right now, we have 3 single axle dump trucks. That's the photo on the right there. You can see the benefits of that. It's the same length truck, which means your maneuverability in the cul-de-sacs and tighter roads is just as good as a mason dump. But you have a much larger plow with an 11-foot plow that's 22% larger. And the big thing is salt capacity. We're such a large town that when you're working in South Old Bridge, coming back to the municipal complex here where our salt dome is, in the middle of a snowstorm, that could be a 45-minute drive in one direction. So we're saving a lot of time by fully loading these trucks up and going out for the long haul. The big question we often get is about contractors. What what areas are contracted and when contractors are needed. We contract out, if we're expecting a bigger snowstorm, our public roads, parking lots, and township-owned sidewalks. We just simply cannot handle it in-house with the staffing that we have, being that, we have 275 lane miles of road, roughly. We need all the available plow trucks as possible. When contractors are needed, that varies. There's no set formula. General rule of thumb is about 4 inches of snow, but 4 inches of snow on a Tuesday morning that's coming in at 6 a.m. is much different than 4 inches of snow on a Saturday afternoon, obviously because of commuting and the amount of vehicles out on the road. You also got to look at weather conditions. If we have 2 or 3 inches of heavy wet snow coming in with a deep freeze right behind it, we have to get the roads clear, or we simply will not be able to get them all cleared in time before that deep freeze comes in. So this map here shows the how the township is divided up. We have in-house, we have 8 snow zones, and each of those snow zones are divided into subzones when we have to bring the contractors in. So if we're working just a regular, like a 3-inch snowstorm, we try to keep about 3 trucks in each zone. But when we got to bring the contractors in, you can see here, like up in zone 8A, we'll have the contractors come in, and the contractors that bid on that zone 8A are confined to that area. It's not as though they're going to be driving through this whole area, spending a lot of time on county roads with the plows up, and we're still paying them by the hour. So that helps save the township money by keeping them consolidated to small areas. Our plowing priorities. We have the snow emergency routes in essential municipal areas. The snow emergency routes are simply that they're roads that we need to keep open in case of emergency. They spread all throughout town. They get you into the different neighborhoods, but they might not go all the way to a particular street. But they're essential because we can get ambulances into that area. We can get a fire truck in. If we got a police call that there was an issue there, we would send all of our plow trucks over to that area to plow the rest of the road so that fire truck or ambulance could get right to the resident they need to get to. Then we go to our secondary streets and roads, then our dead ends and cul-de-sacs. When it comes to cul-de-sacs, we plow a path into the cul-de-sac, but we might not necessarily clear the entire cul-de-sac in the middle of a snowstorm. That waits more towards the end of the snowstorm because it's just not as essential for traffic. And then when all those are done, we go to our outlying municipal buildings and parks. Here's our list of snow emergency routes. They're spread all throughout town. And here's a example of our zone 4A. This is Madison Park. You can see here, like Princeton Road is considered an essential road because that loops around the entire neighborhood. The access points into here are all essential roads because that's the only way you can get into there. But then when you come over to here like Colby Court, this would be a secondary. Then the star there represents the cul-de-sac at Colby Court. That would be our third priority for plowing. Also during snowstorms, we will have trees come down. Depending on where the tree comes down, if there's other alternatives to get in and out of that area, we're going to leave that tree until the end of the storm when it stops snowing, simply because it's oftentimes not safe for our guys to be out there removing trees in the middle of a snowstorm when additional trees could be falling down. But if it's the only way to access that area of town, we might come in with the loader, push the tree out of the way off to the side of the road so emergency vehicles can get in there. Then once the storm is done and the plowing is done, we go to our post-storm cleanup. You can see some Public Works employees there moving tree branches off the side of the road onto the right-of-way, so then we'll come along later on and pick that material up. A few things we ask from the residents before it snows is to remove any sporting equipment from the roadways. It's like basketball hoops, hockey nets, park vehicles in the driveway if possible. It's not always possible throughout different sections of town, but if it is possible, we do ask that they do that. Bring in your garbage cans and recycling cans. And just for the residents, remember that snow plowing supersedes Christmas tree pickup and appliance pickup. And then after it snows, we ask residents to wait till clear the very end of their driveway until the plowing is done. Oftentimes, somebody will shovel out the snow at the end of their driveway before we even open the road up. and then that snow gets pushed back in front of their driveway, and it's not a good situation for the residents. They're often not very happy about that. So we also ask that the residents do not blow or move snow into the roadway. A lot of times we'll see contractors out there pushing snow from a long driveway into the middle of the road and just leaving it there. And clear off snow from the sidewalks and fire hydrants within 12 hours of snowfall. And then after the snow is done, we ask that you report damage to your curb or mailboxes. And just want to, on behalf of Public Works and the Parks Department, want to thank you for your time and open the floor up to questions.
Just a comment. You know, since you've been here, this has been outstanding. I mean, every time we get a snowstorm, you know, I get nothing but, you know, great comments from people that I've spoken to. You've really put together a tremendous plan, and it's all the details in the planning, right? And then you have to implement, and I think you do both, so great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I too want to give you kudos. The tree that fell across Southwood Drive, I mean, you had a crew out there. Within a couple hours, the tree was removed. It was a pretty big sized tree too, if you remember. It was removed and did a really good job. And another thing I noticed right off the bat, being a lifetime resident of Old Bridge, is that these trucks have big numbers on them. And they've never been identified like that. So if I have a problem with a guy plowing the truck, I know the number, you know, and that's for all the residents. So it's really great. Good job. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Well, as you know, in town, we have a lot of county roads, and a lot of times it was brought to my attention that the county didn't come in and plow them, and even you found time to do all those roads too. And it's very much appreciated from all the residents, and I'm sure all the council, that, you know, you keep the town safe and moving like that. Thank you.
Okay, I'll just close the comments also by saying thank you to all of you. Your collaborative efforts really do show. And I think that it's wonderful to see that the departments are, you know, working together, and that everyone seems to be really, the intent is to make things better here, and that's really important. You have a great staff, and I think this really shows, and I want to thank all of you for all that you do for us to try to keep us safe and you know, get us moving again, so to speak. And hopefully, I'm not going to jinx this, but hopefully this year we won't have so crazy, but okay. But no, but thank you again, and thank you for always thinking, you know, this forward thinking. It's very important, and I think it really does work. So thank you very much.
Mr. President, if I may, I just want to recognize both Matt and Kyle. This will be the first year where instead of having two different departments doing two different operations, there will be a joint operation. They both will be working together, so we'll have two leaders working on the snow, as well as the entire crew, both Parks and Recreation, Public Works, jointly working. So it will bring additional efficiency and a control. So I want to thank both Kyle and Matt and both of their staff to, you know, go along participating in these joint efforts.
All right.
Okay, good. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Okay. Next will be approval of minutes of previous meetings. Combined meeting for September 23rd, 2019. Do I have a motion? Move it. Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mr. Cahill?
Abstain.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
We vote on?
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Abstain.
What?
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
6 yes, 2 abstentions.
Next will be our bill listing. Mrs. Walker?
Accounts payable, November 18, 2019, $20,810,453.87.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes.
Payroll, October 25th, 2019, $986,045.65.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Yes. Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes.
Payroll overtime, October 25th, 2019, $32,977.73.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Pescitti, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli. Mr. Shaw, may we have a breakout, please?
Thank you, Council President. As Councilwoman Walker indicated, the total overtime for this pay period was $32,977.73. There was a slight uptick in Parks Department. They had a tree trimming at Central Park. For the Police Department, the total overtime was $20,817.94. There was no grant deduction. Deduction for ETO was $9,264.19. Net overtime for this pay period was $11,553.75, representing 360.5 man and women hours. There was no special events in Police Department.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Yes. Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes.
Payroll, November 8th, 2019, $1,052,438.56.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Pescetti, second by Mrs. Walker.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Yes. Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes.
Payroll overtime, October 25th, 2019, $44,012.66.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Pescitti. Mr. Shaw, can we have a breakout, please?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Again, as Councilwoman Walker indicated, total overtime for this pay period was $44,012.66. There was a uptick in two departments, one in recreation and one in animal control. In recreation, it was Halloween spectacular, and in animal control, we had a rabies clinic. For the police department, the total overtime was $32,199.76. A grant deduction of $482.47. Deduction for ETO was $6,622.88. Net overtime for this pay period was $25,094.41, representing 515.5 men and women hours. Special event was in service and a PBA convention.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Yes. Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes.
That concludes the bill list.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Walker. Next will be public hearing and ordinances for second reading. H1, Release Reduction Performance Guarantee, Michael Stasi, Red Shore Village, Residential Block 24000, Lot 29, application number 95-06Z. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back, Mrs. Shapiro. It's a pleasure to see you here again, and congratulations on the new baby.
Councilwoman Sohar, this is an application called Red Shaw Village, AKA Stasi Farms LLC. This application was numbered 6408Z. It was an application that was in front of our zoning board of adjustment. It received approval sometime probably in about 2009 and subsequently in about 2011 when they came back to get relief from their phasing plan. It was to build a residential and commercial component, the residential component consisting of 21 single-family homes, along with the associated features such as the roadway, the sidewalks, the curbing, the underlining drainage, a stormwater basin that's within the development, and also street lighting, and grading and drainage as well. The homes have since been built. To access the residential component, you have to then traverse through the commercial component on Red Shore Boulevard. After the completion or release, should the council vote favorably, we would then be taking over a portion of Red Shore Village and all of Stasi Court. I say a portion because the front portion that runs through the commercial component would then be the responsibility of that property owner and not the townships. With that said, in taking a closer look at the filed map for the subdivision, it became apparent that there is an agreement between OBMUA on that access. Although it is clearly depicted on the plan that that access easement is between the property owner, Old Bridge Township, the HOA, and OBMUA. There only was spelled out an agreement between OBMUA and the owner because OBMUA has facilities underneath that portion of the roadway. So we're here tonight to take a look at releasing the bond on this. I'm happy to report that all the bonded improvements within the residential component of the subdivision has been completed. There are conditions that we had put on should the council vote favorably on the release. I just want you to know that there was a 70% reduction on the bond in 2014, so it brought the total of $1,244,693.40 to a total of $373,408.02. That's the performance guarantee. The request for the release tonight is for a performance bond in the amount of $336,067.22, 10% in cash, $37,340.80. If you had read my memo that was dated November 14, 2019, you'll see a list of 8 conditions that I was requesting the council to take a look at and make part of any resolution of approval to release the bond this evening. Certainly I can go through them, but one of them being that we have an agreement on that front portion of Red Shore Boulevard to ensure that the rights for the township and the HOA on Red Shore Village is clearly written, and those rights are that we have the permission to access to the residential component in the back. However, we're not responsible for maintaining, for upgrading, for sidewalks, for any resurfacing along that portion that is the owner of the commercial development. With that said, I see that Mr. Clauser, the applicant's attorney, is next to me, here to answer, I'm sure, any questions as well.
Good evening. Peter Clauser, for the record, on the firm Hogman Pape on behalf of the applicant. I've been here, I think, since April. Continuing it, we finally have a letter out of your engineering department. We've managed to make them happy that all the bonded improvements are installed. There are 8 conditions in the letter that Nicole issued, and we accept all of those conditions. We expect that they would be part of any resolution that this council adopts releasing the bond. With regard to the access that Nicole discussed along the commercial portion, we don't, your applicant this evening does not own that property. However, there, on the filed map, there is shown a limit of your responsibility, which ends with the private portion of the residential portion of the roadway. And I drafted an access easement and presented it through Mike Stasi to the owner of the commercial portion, and he was receptive to executing the easement in favor of the township. I shared a copy of that with Nicole and with Mark Roselli for their review on, I think it was Friday, I sent it over, so I haven't given them a lot of time to review it. But as far as the condition is concerned, we're working on it, we agree to it, and as long as the commercial property owner cooperates, which he's indicated that he will, we can have that signed. So with that, I think the council's focus this evening is narrow. The question is whether or not, on a bond release, the improvements that were bonded were installed in accordance with the plans and specifications. Your engineering department has painstakingly inspected all of those improvements and have found that they have been installed and issued a report in accordance with the statute recommending the release of the bonds, subject to conditions. We would ask that the council act favorably on the request.
Thank you very much. Okay, is there anyone in the public would like to come up and be heard on this bond release? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Ed Emanuel. I am the treasurer for the HOA at Red Shore Village. I'm on the board of directors there. I'm speaking on behalf of all 21 homes and taxpayers there. We've been there for 4.5 years. We have one issue with regards to the performance bond, and that is since the HOA was turned over to the residents and the HOA have been paying for all the expenses for the maintenance of the basin. We were not provided all the documentation at the time of transfer of ownership from the developer to the HOA at that time, and part of the documentation, which was the stormwater management report, specifically stated that the developer would be responsible for all expenses with regards to the maintenance of the basin into the roads, into the basin was completed, the construction of that, which did not occur until July of this year, and that the roads were accepted by the town, which still hasn't occurred. Over the past 5 years, or 4.5 years, the HOA has spent over $30,000 in maintaining that bond between insurance and other maintenance facilities that should have been the responsibility of the developer. We are working, we'd love to work with the developer to, settle the item, but until that point comes and time, we're asking that the bond still be held by the town, as this is a residential taxpayer issue.
May I?
Yes.
Can I respond? The first, as a condition of the release, one of the things that the applicant is required to do is to post a maintenance bond. So there continues to be a maintenance bond. A second condition of release is that the applicant be responsible for any repairs that are necessary to the stormwater management system, which the applicant agrees as a condition that's spelled out in the approvals. The question that's raised, well, I guess there's two questions. I don't know if Mr. Emanuel is in a position to represent the homeowners in front of this board, as he's, we've asked for the homeowners to hire an attorney to review this issue. They have not responded to that. The homeowners' issue has been raised with regard to the maintenance. Mr. Stasi has separate counsel that represents him with regard to all of the HOA documents. In April, a letter was issued to Nicole's office spelling out her legal opinion with regard to the transfer of the HOA documents. In June, that letter was delivered to the HOA directly for their review. No response has been received other than to come this evening and ask for a continuance. The council has not, the homeowners association has not responded with an attorney or with any counter legal argument to the HOA attorney that Mr. Stasi utilized. As I indicated earlier, the council's role this evening, and I certainly defer to your attorney as to his opinion, but I've been doing bond work for a very long time. The only question presented this evening is, have the bonded improvements been installed in accordance with the plans and specifications approved by the zoning board? Your engineer has reviewed them inspected them, and issued a report under the statute. I say under the statute because it's very important that we look at the statute, and said, yes, they have been installed. If there is a legal issue between the HOA and the former developer, I welcome them to utilize the courts, to utilize an attorney, and to seek retribution. That's fine. That has nothing to do with what is in front of the council this evening. Were the roads put in right? Was the basin put in right? And your engineer has said yes.
May I respond?
Yes.
We have been speaking to Mr. Stassi, the applicant, who called. I spoke with him today. I notified him that we have retained an attorney. We had to retain a new attorney, and they are now reviewing all the documentation. Hearing today now that the actual access agreement going from Englishtown Road to Red Shore Boulevard through the commercial development has not been approved yet. That kind of causes us to pause a little as well, since nothing has been fulfilled with regards to that easement. Until that is signed, I think we can't even approve and accept the roads as well. So again, on behalf of the HOA, and I'm able to speak as a board member for the HOA, we are requesting that the bond just be delayed so that we can negotiate and discuss with our new attorneys and the applicant's attorney with regards to this. We did respond to his HOA attorney with our interpretation, and we provided them with all the documentation citing the stormwater report. She responded. We said we didn't agree with that, and we've been trying to get, as I said, we retained new counsel today, in fact, and they're reviewing the documents.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the public that wishes to be heard this evening on this issue? Seeing no hands, I will close the public portion, and I will go to council. Mr. Murphy.
I'd like to table this to at least next meeting.
Do I have a second?
Let me caution you, counsel. I absolutely can give an opinion, and I'm going to, because this matter is appropriate before the council at this time. They've met all the conditions. We have a clearance by the engineer. The item that the gentleman is speaking about is not a bonded issue. It's appropriate to be handled as they are with their separate attorneys, but you can't hold the bond hostage. I'd also advise the board or council, I'm sorry, that if it's denied and they file suit, you will be exposed to counsel fees and costs to do that. Because in my opinion, they've met everything they need to meet, and the engineer has approved. The the other engineer that was hired by the town on the stormwater issue with that basin that wasn't holding water, that's been taken care of by the builder. It is now functioning properly. As part of maintenance, it'll be reviewed or monitored in case something goes wrong during that 2-year period. So you should be advised. That's my legal opinion, and you take whatever steps you feel are appropriate.
There's a motion to table on the floor. There was a second.
There was a
Mr.
second.
Piscary.
I don't, can't.
Explain. I explain something?
Can we discuss it?
Discussing it, John? You have
No, okay, that's it? Okay,
you have a motion and a second,
Let's take a
John.
vote on that.
yes, I'd
Right.
like,
Rescind the
I'd like to
table
take
and
the table
discuss.
off for a second.
Well, you're going to rescind the table, correct?
Okay, I don't want to get involved in this too much. I really didn't, but he got no literature until about 4 weeks ago. He got a copy of the contract and everything. And I went to the town clerk, got a copy of the contract. He was given a contract from 2006. I was given a contract from 2009, which, by the way you're talking, I don't think you read that one. There are several things that are illegal and that I consider would be illegal, and I think they should be addressed. I ran here to support the public. I didn't run here to support the attorney or anything like that. If he's right, then we'll do it at the next meeting. If he's wrong, I don't know what we should do, but that's what I say now. I want to put the motion back on.
Yeah, John, since it was rescinded, everyone is allowed now to speak at this point. So is there anyone, Mr. Peschetti, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I have a couple questions. For the lawyer first, Ken, we wouldn't actually be denying the release of the bond. We would just be delaying it by 30 days. Is that the same thing?
I'm telling you that it's properly before council now. If you delay it, you expose yourself to suit. Yes.
Okay, and is there a possibility that there's other documentation that we haven't seen that has something to do with this bond?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, we're talking the bonded issues, and the engineer has already certified that all the bonded issues have been taken care of to their satisfaction. I mean, there's a whole lot of documents involved in this matter. As you know, it's been going on for a long time. But as far as the bonded improvements, based on our engineer's report, that's all been satisfied. Otherwise, she would not be recommending that it be released.
Was there a builder's agreement?
There absolutely is an agreement, but the agreement, if there are problems with the agreement, that's a different forum. That's not what this is about. This is solely for the release of the performance guarantee. That's a totally different issue.
And the roads,
Okay, John, let everyone speak, okay? First, let's see who else from the council has a
Well,
question.
I wasn't finished.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Go ahead, Mr. Peschetti.
Thank you. So, Ms. Shapiro, you're 100% satisfied that the performance on this bond was completed, and that means the roads and everything else and the commercial portion.
Yes, our consultant and inspector, Alimo Group, Marty Miller, he actually went out and inspected, and it was extremely meticulous on each of the items that he had saw out there. Recently, what had occurred with the stormwater basin, the water was draining, and that's a wet pond. It should be wet all the time to a certain level. Our assistant township engineer had figured out what the issue was, had corrected that, and now the water levels are back to normal. The maintenance of that water level can be always looked at during the 2-year maintenance period. So we're satisfied that has been addressed. As far as the issue with the road dedication, I would like to, cross our T's and dot our I's. Technically, the way that the plans are for the subdivision as they are filed, they give us access rights, and they give the HOA access rights and the OBMUA access rights to use Red Shore Boulevard to enter the residential component, which is public roadways. What concerns me is after everybody in this room is gone and retired, who else will know that? They would have to dig up that map. What's better than a map is words that say, hey, the town has rights to access the public roadway in the back, and so does the HOA, but we don't have any responsibility to do any improvements to that roadway. What's important to note that there are drainage pipes underneath there, inlets underneath there. Now, OBMUA has their facility underneath there, but they're responsible to maintain and update them because they service the residential component. Any drop of water that falls on that residential component is captured in the detention or the stormwater management basin that's at the rear of Red Shore Village of the 21 homes. So none of that stormwater goes into that commercial component. So we shouldn't be responsible for any of the pipes, any of the drainage inlets, any of the curbing, any of the asphalt, any of the base material. That should be spelled out somewhere, because one day somebody's going to ask the question and it's not written down anywhere. All it says on that subdivision plan is that the access is dedicated to the township, OBMUA, and the HOA. Now, OBMUA has an agreement that spells out the language of what they're responsible for, which is a lot. But for the township, we should have the converse of that we're not responsible. Similar with the HOA. They are not responsible either for anything that has to do with the roadway. Only the developer or the property owner of that commercial component does. And that's a big lift. That's a 60-foot wide right-of-way on Red Shore Village. So I want to cross our Ts and dot our Is and make sure that we have that in an agreement. Certainly, anything as a condition, these 8 conditions, one of them being that the HOA should have an updated maintenance manual. All those conditions have to be met before we hand over the bonds or that cash portion. That could take up to 2 months. That could take up to 3 months. You know, the commercial component is not owned by the owner, the developer of the residential component. And that's important to know, that we have to have that commercial component, that property owner, sign off on the agreement that it's his responsibility. So we are now taking the developer's attorney's word that he had that conversation with them. And, you know, I know Mr. Klauser very well. I believe that that had occurred, but, you know, without that document in hand and without all these conditions being met, nothing would be released should the council look on it favorably. You know, I know Mr. Emmanuel. I know that I've handed him some information, as well as Vinod from your development. Certainly, there's a lot of information that when Vinod had first come to me that I had found out for the first time and was shocked by. And as much as I dug and I found, I gave. You know, so certainly, you know, me saying that the bonded improvements for the engineering items that are complete as far as the bond is concerned, that they are done as it relates to the bond, doesn't mean that I co-sign on what has occurred within this development and the HOA.
Thank you, Mrs. Shapiro. Mrs. Walker, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just want to know how this disconnect happened with the HOA and the builder with the detention maintenance. How come the HOA was paying for it when it was written that they weren't supposed to? What happened?
Now, you know, technically, I'm not sure. When the HOA was created and 2/3 ownership was sold, they can then create the HOA, and certainly our attorney can clear any mistakes I'm making now. But what bothered me was, because we were still on the performance guarantee, how could the HOA, and this originally came out because the HOA had come to me to take over their basin, and I said, why would the basin be a concern for you at this point? Because you still are on your performance guarantee. The developer is responsible for that basin, not you. And this conversation didn't happen with Ed, it happened with Vinod. And he had said to me, no, we're paying to maintain, we're paying to plant trees, to do all this other stuff. And I said, well, good gosh, why are you paying? They're on performance guarantee. And then after they release the performance guarantee, they have 2 years to then maintain, you know, for defects and stuff like that. You really shouldn't be touching it. And that's how the conversation started. So now I'm not sure. When I saw the documents, and I'm going off of memory right now, somehow I saw that the dedication to the HOA was for all the lots and the open space, but I didn't see that there was a dedication for the stormwater basin to the HOA. That's what I recall. So certainly I do think that they have a case, but I'm not an attorney, and any argument I would have with an attorney, I would lose. So,
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll let them talk. I'll let them talk.
All the council people speak, okay? Okay, Dr. Greenberg?
To answer your question as to why there was confusion when 75% of the residents occupied the development, that's when they took over ownership of the HOA. The HOA was set up before the residents even moved into the development. The developer created it on his own and started maintaining it and doing all the responsibilities that he was supposed to do, I guess, as board members of the HOA. When we transitioned over to the ownership by the residents, we were handed the legal documentation of the HOA, which was the bylaws and basically the articles of incorporation. We were given an abbreviated version of the storm management report, which was maybe 2 or 3 pages on how to how to do it, basically how to maintain it. Within that report, we later discovered from talking to Mrs. Shapiro here that we were not responsible for the actual maintenance and expenses of the basin. And as I said earlier, when we transitioned, we saw when we received the books, we reviewed the books, they were making payments, partial payments to vendors, and having only the documentation of the HOA bylaws and the articles of incorporation. That's kind of what we went off of. And we were only 21 homes. We had a cordial, and we still think we have a cordial relationship with the developer, and we're just trying to satisfy it and come to a resolution that's fair to all.
Are you through?
Yeah, I just feel that the attorney's going to be costly. I just feel bad, yeah.
Unfortunately, we tried to do this without the attorneys. The developer is standing by his attorney's interpretation of the rules. I've submitted documentation for review to all of you. I've sent you all emails with regards. So I'm, hoping that, we can get this on the least expensive way possible.
Okay. Dr. Greenberg?
This situation is quite convoluted. And first of all, I want to compliment you as an HOA that you were so proactive. There are a lot of HOAs that would not take the action that you did, and you want to take care of your, development and neighborhood, and I think you've done well. But as you said, we found out it really wasn't your responsibility at this time. And I respect our attorney for the advice that he gave us, because his job is to protect us. But our job is also to do this right and to be fair. And so there's a lot of gray areas here. This has gone on for a long time, and I don't think going on a little longer just to get it right would have that much of a negative impact. I feel if we do vote on to pass this, and that's my personal opinion, it makes it more difficult to get a fair resolution amongst both parties. So just as the engineer said, we like to dot our i's and cross our t's. And I feel that it is just strange that there's a 206 contract and a 209 contract, and you were working off of one that was not the one that would have been appropriate that spelled this out. As far as the township, with the roads going through the commercial area, that is going to, I've sat on the planning board many years ago, and now being on the council, you see where these problems arise if you don't do the proper due diligence to it. Because when we make these decisions, we shouldn't make them just now for this moment. We have to make them for the future, to eliminate these problems. So with that said, I want to be fair to all parties, and I think I cannot be fair if I make a vote just tonight to say to release this bond now, although I would, based on these conditions and any other situations. But there are very apparent reasons why it should not be done, and I would hope that the attorney for the developer doesn't turn on us for wanting to do the right thing. That would be into perpetuity. And for you, I want to compliment you and your development once again for doing the actions that you did. And I'm sure you would continue doing if it was your responsibility, but now that you found that it wasn't at that time, I think that, it's only fair that that is remediated in your favor. And it is unfortunate that you do need an attorney, and there is a cost involved with it, but a lot of times, instead of working things out before, it becomes more costly with that way. But at least you'll know then that everything is written and spelled out correctly so that you get the result that you certainly deserve.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone on my left have a comment? Mr. Merwin? Mike? Thank you.
Would you be willing to postpone this, Mr. Clausen?
Well, actually, Mr. Stasi is here, the developer. He's asked for an opportunity to speak in response to the homeowners, and perhaps he can answer that question. My legal advice to him is no, but he can have some other advice.
All right.
I know what the issue is before this board. Holding the bond hostage to resolve some other unrelated issue is not the right course of action.
All right. Mayor, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
I don't think anybody's holding anybody hostage. I think this development had a developer's agreement by the zoning board, right? That calls for the commercial element. The commercial element should have been done already. It's not. Now he's going to hide behind the fact that it's been sold. Because it's not done, I think you have bondable things that are still out in the open there. So right there, I think we have the very good reason to postpone it until the next meeting. Hopefully they can get it done. But that developer's agreement, just like they want to stand on their ground, well, we can stand on our ground. And we have a developer's agreement that has not been fulfilled. And that's where we should stand. That's all.
Anyone else on my left? Mr. Murphy?
Yes, excuse me. After I left the last meeting, I had spoke.
Your mic.
After I left the last meeting, I spoke to Mr. Manuel. I said, look, if you guys can settle on your own, just come in, and if you're settled, I don't care. Well, I guess a week ago, Mr. Stasi came and said you needed an attorney. That changed everything. And he just got one, and the guy can't come today. He hasn't read anything. And there's other things that I don't know if they're bondable, but there's a lot of other things that look very suspicious in there, especially that he was given the contract from 2006. It was missing the last page from the one from 2009. It was almost like he didn't want him to have it or something, but that's the one that explains everything. And I would like to postpone. I'm asking 1 month. Believe me, I wanted to call you, but I didn't want to call you at home and everything. And you were here. There was a lot of discussions at the other meetings about this, and I thought it was going to be taken care here. But I would just like to push it 1 more month so the attorneys can talk and see if they can work out something themselves.
Okay, anyone else have any comments? All right, I will close the council comment. Yeah,
Would he
yeah,
just,
all right.
I would appreciate that if you just let him.
Yeah.
He'd like an opportunity to
Okay.
speak. So here, Mike, have a seat.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I just want to provide a perspective from my side. When the original declarations and covenants were filed by the HOA attorney, Greenbaum Davis, those documents were filed before the site work even began there. I was not technically aware of all the details in those long documents because I'm not an attorney either. But I'm not disputing what Mr. Emanuel said, but when we turned over the HOA to the residents, when they had a majority of the homeowners' ownership there, we turned over the recorded covenants and easements, and I believe the stormwater management manual as well. It may not have been done. I do not remember back 4.5 years ago. But this issue first came to be back in April of this year, I think, when I first began to request the bond release. And it was brought to my attention from my attorney that Ms. Shapiro had said, you know, you may be, and I may be putting the words incorrectly, that the homeowners may be improperly paying for the maintenance of this detention basin. And I wasn't aware of that, so I literally called up the HOA attorney, who I had been using for all these years, and showed the letter, the comments, and the HOA attorney responded in writing saying, no, the maintenance of the bond by the homeowners association is totally different than not getting off of the bond from the municipality. I just passed that along. I did not know whether that was legally correct or not, but I passed it along. I assumed back then that it was going to be forwarded to the homeowners as well. back in June, when I was putting the well into the detention basin, they prevented the contractor from working there because of this issue, which I thought had been resolved, but I never heard anything else from it. So I once again called the HOA attorney and said, am I wrong, or what is going on with this? I just don't understand. And again, emphatically, with another letter to the HOA back in June saying, no, the two things are apples and oranges. I didn't know the difference. Again, I just passed it along back in June. And the couple of times that they asked to talk, I said, well, why don't you have your HOA attorney speak to the attorney who prepared the documents? I said, we're lay people. We'll argue until we're blue in the face because I feel one way based on what my attorney is telling me, and you will feel a different way based on your own thoughts. And that was back in June. And I had hoped, I said, if your attorney convinces my attorney that she was wrong, I will pay for those fees. But I have, that's a whole nother conversation, but I just said, if I am right, then I am just right. That's all there is. I'm not saying I'm right. I think my attorney is. So that was back in June, and I kept asking, saying, you know, did your attorney look at the documents? Because that's the only way we're going to settle it. I just don't know that we can, as lay people, do that. So that was back in June, and there has been no resolution. And I did say to to Ed and to Vinod, let's take it out of this venue here. Let the attorneys talk to each other about it. And if there is something that is owed, I will pay it. And there is a legal recourse there. But that was back in June, and I realized there were a lot of missteps along the way, but I have been trying to resolve this since April, and so that if you need to continue it, so be it. But I did speak to the HOA back in June and asked if they could resolve it.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Oh, Council President,
Yeah, I believe so.
Council President, can I
Yes.
just say one last thing?
Yeah, let Mrs. Shapiro speak, please.
Sorry. I just want to say one last thing. I know that Mr. Stassi had brought up June of this year. My conversations with Vinod, who's not here, I believe, this evening, who is a resident of Retro Village, he had come to me in spring of 2017. So just know, 2 years ago, I started this conversation with the HOA. 2 years ago, they probably brought this up to the owner. 2 years since then, this development, this HOA has been paying to maintain that basin.
Okay.
I just want to correct some of the dates, because he did, he showed up with regards to the maintenance work for the basin, showed up one morning unannounced, asking for access to the basin. Myself, I was on vacation with my family in D.C. I get a call saying, can we get into the basin to drill? There was no notice, and if his argument is that we're responsible for the basin, then we should have gotten notice that this was going to be done. We should have been provided with certificates of insurance prior to the work being completed, and there should have been any licenses or permits required by whether it's the county or the town provided to the HOA before any of the work started, which when I spoke to him, he just got really angry and hung up on me. And then in July is when he sent us the letter from his attorney, and it was in response to the stormwater management report that we sent her, and she really didn't even address the section of the stormwater report. All she addressed was the articles of incorporation and the bylaws, saying that they superseded the stormwater report, and that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else? Are we good?
Ms. Shapiro, am I
Wait.
correct?
Yeah, that he's willing to, yeah, but the lawyer's asking a question,
Shapiro,
Mrs.
am I
Shapiro.
correct that this stormwater basin now is completed and is functioning and you've cleared it?
It only was 100% complete recently because there was a replenishment well.
Right, I remember,
That
right,
was required
exactly.
to be put in.
When was that done? Because you
Between-
wrote your first, Your first release letter, was that in September?
I wasn't here in September.
Or October, I'm sorry. Pinder did.
So Pinder did, but I don't know if he was recommending release. I believe he was recommending, he did issue a first. The replenishment well, by the time that Pinder had written that letter, was completed. And the repair for the pipe that was draining the water was completed.
Valve, right.
The valve was
Okay.
completed.
Right, and that was as of his letter, I think, I just want to make sure I'm reading the right one, was October 18th. Okay.
Yes.
No, he said, what he said was, I don't want to put words in his mouth, was, he said, so be it. That's what he said.
Okay. So does anyone else on the council have any questions? Well, we're going to vote, John.
It may not be necessary if you'll give us the delay.
I'm going to defer to my attorney and with the counsel of my attorney.
Just give me a second, because I had a different response before. I've been instructed to consent to an adjournment.
Okay.
Until next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
I would ask that, I mean, we're at full exposure here with the HOA. I would ask that we don't have to notice again.
No, you don't have to notice.
Oh, no,
You don't have to
no.
notice.
No. It's just that we really do feel there was a lot of issues here that are not addressed. And as Mrs. Walker said, there was somehow a disconnect here, and we're not pointing fingers, but we have to also keep our residents in the forefront and, you know, in our, what we do. So based upon all of these issues that this association is facing, I would feel myself, in good conscience, I want to make sure that everything is done appropriately for the residents as well.
I'd love to be here next month telling you that we've all worked it out and have a nice,
Me too.
smiling, happy vote.
Please, me too.
And the HOA as well.
Yes, no, absolutely. Let's hope we
Thank
can
you,
have a good
and thank you,
conclusion to
Nicole.
this. Yeah, and
So it's
thank you,
consent
Mrs.
to
Shapiro.
adjournment to the next meeting of December
Thank you.
16th. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd like to make a-
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion that we table it.
Second?
Okay. You know, John, he withdrew.
I didn't withdraw the application, I'm just consenting to an
just
adjournment. I just don't want
adjournment.
to.
Adjournment.
That's what I
till
meant to
next
say.
meeting.
I don't need a vote. I'm comfortable with
Yeah,
what we've
that-
done.
Good?
No, it's,
Okay.
yeah, we're
It's
adjourned.
good?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
See you next month.
Yeah. I'm the next one, too.
Okay, next will be
It's a lot
H2.
more pleasant.
Next will be H2, Release Reduction Performance Guarantee.
Sandwiches for everyone.
Double D Delicatessen, Block 15567, Lot 31 and 32, application number 103-03P. Good evening once again.
Council President, Council, this was an application in front of our planning board for Double D Delicatessen located on County Route 516 at the intersection with Gaub Road. It also included the Carvel Ice Cream Shop. Note that there was a reduction in the performance guarantee in February of 2009 by 70%, from $143,457 to $43,037.10. The breakout is the performance bonds of $38,733.39, cash deposit $4,303.71. I'm happy to report all bonded improvements have been completed. And because it is a private development with the new regulations, there is no maintenance bond required on the project.
Thank you very much. I'll open this to the public. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to be heard on this bond release? Seeing no hands, I will close public portion and go to council. Anyone on my left have a comment or a question? Anyone on my right? I'll take a motion then.
Move it. Second.
Who moved it? Anita moved it, Dr. Greenberg, and second by Mr. Pescetti.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti? Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Have a nice holiday. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And thank you to Mr. Stasi.
Next will be H3, Release Reduction Performance Guarantee, Renaissance, Foxborough Corporation Center, Phase 2, Block 16000, Lot 1, application number 20-01Z, bond number B1036171. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Stephen Katz on behalf of Foxborough.
Council, this application was in front of the zoning board in 2001. They received preliminary final major site plan approval with bulk variances for signage in 2003. The project site was cleared. It's on Old Amboy Road. Currently, there's a different development going on there now that's being constructed, and that's why we're here for the bonds release, because that project never went forward. This was for office buildings, to continue the corporate center of the office buildings on Old Amboy Road. At that time, they did clear site and they did start the stormwater management construction. However, because of the market at that time for office complexes, they had abandoned that project. Since on the site, there is a new project being developed currently. That project is fully bonded, and should there be any complaints with that project, any of our residents within 200 feet or any of our residents that have a complaint on that would have their voice heard when that bond would be released or reduced. So our recommendation is for release of the bonds on this application 02-01Z, since the project never went forward. Performance bond total is $722,544.30. 10% cash portion, $80,282.69. And of course, a maintenance bond would not be applicable on this project.
Thank you very much. I'll open this up to the public. Anyone in the public wish to be heard on this bond release? Seeing no hands, I will close the public portion. Back to council. Anyone on my left for a comment or a question? On my right? Seeing no hands, do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Merwin, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. Have a nice holiday. Thank you. Ordinance for second reading, ordinance number 2019-16, amending the code of the Township of Old Bridge by including a new chapter 234 entitled Hotel Use and Occupancy Tax of the Township of Old Bridge. Is there anyone in the public that would like to be heard? I will close the public portion. And council, any comments on my left? Any on my right? I need a motion.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Walker, second by Mr. Merwin.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes.
Next is ordinance number 2, number 2019-17, to amend Chapter 10, Traffic, Section 10-19:7B of the Code of the Township of Old Bridge to add 97 Roosevelt Avenue, Lawrence Harbor, New Jersey, front of the house. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to be heard on this? Seeing no hands, I will close the public portion. Council, anyone for a comment?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Merwin, second by Mrs. Walker.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin? Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes.
Next is Township of Old Bridge Resolution appointing Deputy Municipal Clerk. Whereas pursuant to NJSA 40A:9-135, the Township of Old Bridge has created the position of Deputy Municipal Clerk, and whereas the Township of Old Bridge created the position of Deputy Municipal Clerk pursuant to Township Code Article 4, Office of the Clerk, Section 5-36, which shall be appointed by the council with compensation, and whereas pursuant to the provisions of NJSA 40A:9-135 and Article 4, Section 5-36, the municipal clerk shall receive compensation starting at $72,000 and will increase to $75,000 after completion of 6 months. And whereas the township clerk desires to appoint Gretchen McCarthy as deputy municipal clerk for the Township of Old Bridge. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Old Bridge, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, that Gretchen McCarthy is hereby appointed as Deputy Municipal Clerk for the Township of Old Bridge and pursuant to the provisions of NJSA 40A:9-135. Be it further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Division of Local Government Services, Chief Financial Officer, the Township Administrator, and Stella Ward, RMC.
Move it.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Point of order?
Yes.
Yeah, so I come to understand there were, I guess, some emails that went out. There were invites to meetings, and the resume came out. I was not on any of those emails. So I was not privy to those meetings, and this is the first I'm seeing the resume. So I'm sure the person's very qualified, but I'm going to abstain because I was not involved with this. So
Brian, I don't know how that happened.
it's okay. I can't vote in good conscience. I haven't had time to review it. So
Mr. Murphy?
I'm sorry, I was going to try to make the interview with her. Is she here tonight?
There she is.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I need.
Okay. Mr. Merwin?
Is this the same salary that we paid the last one that got hired and left us?
Yes, yes.
Yes, okay.
Okay. Can we have a vote then? Anyone else for comment? Mr. Pescetti?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that I'm not getting the emails on the minutes, and that's why I abstained. Okay, so I don't know if Councilman Cahill is getting some emails or not. Did you get minutes, Councilman Cahill?
minutes from what? I'm sorry.
Your minutes, the minutes from the meetings, the
Minutes
last
of the
meeting.
meetings, are you receiving them
No.
via email?
No,
Okay,
no.
then we have to check into that. But I did not know, so.
Yeah, I just want to
Okay,
mention that.
Yeah, no, it's fine. You need the information. You can't vote, like Mr. Cahill said, you can't vote unless you have the information. So we have to really make sure that, Stella will check into it and make sure that everyone receives. If you haven't, anyone, please, can you email Stella and let her know if you are missing something? That would help. Okay?
Yeah, so I just want to congratulate our new deputy clerk. Welcome.
Okay, anyone else?
All right.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Cahill?
Abstain.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
7 yes. 1
Congratulations and welcome. Next will be preliminary public comments to council, subject to the following conditions and restrictions. During the preliminary public portion of the meeting, any person may address the Township Council on any subject matter for a maximum period of 5 minutes. Any such person desiring to speak during the preliminary public portion shall first sign a list maintained by the Township Clerk for such purpose. Comments during the preliminary public comment portion of the meeting shall not encompass second reading ordinances or any other matter for which comment or a public hearing is to occur at the meeting.
Roseanne Andrews?
Good evening.
It's on.
Why do you want to sit with this one, or? That one's over.
Good evening, Roseanne Andrews, 7209 Falston.
Green light.
Turn it on, green light.
No, no.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
I hate technology.
No worries.
No, I just want to say thank you. We have the light up on 9 and Spring Valley Road.
And the happy dance.
Unfortunately, though, you know, the timing is a little off, and I hope the timing will be on and fixed very, very, very soon, because that's getting us very confused, okay? But thank you anyway. They're lovely lights. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, so that will close now the public portion, and I'll go to council member comments. Anyone on my left for a comment? Mr. Murphy?
I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, anyone else on my left? Mr. Merwin?
Yes, definitely have a nice Thanksgiving. Could I get an update at the next meeting on the sanctuary state status lawsuit?
Okay,
Legal. Thank you.
all righty. Mr. Cahill?
Yes, I'd just like to echo comments about Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday, and I wish everybody has a great Thanksgiving and think about what you're thankful for, right?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. On my right, Mr., I'm sorry, Mrs. Walker.
I know some people in the back, I think they wanted to speak, but they don't realize they had to sign
Right,
up to
that-
speak.
I was gonna tell
But there
them
is
that.
another,
Yeah.
at the end, portion at the end, you could speak. Just wanted to, and while I'm talking, I just want to say, we were campaigning, I knocked on thousands of doors, met a lot of wonderful people, but a lot of concern for people was the Board of Ed, the taxes. They didn't realize that, they thought that we were taxing them. So I just want to make it clear that we collect the taxes, but we don't have anything to do with the Board of Ed or the raising of the taxes. We're a separate entity. And also, I want to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes. First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming out to vote, whether you voted for me or the team or not. We represent everyone, and we are very appreciative for your support. With that said, everyone knows the confusion that this election had with the vote by mail initiative. And in fact, after the election, it was found that that mandate was essentially illegal. So I feel that it brought a lot of confusion to people and a lot of stress on the poll workers whenever I went around to any polling district, and it was very, very unfortunate. But I do want to say, if you do not want a vote by mail, please reach out to the county clerk's office and fill out a vote by mail removal request form. I received one, and I will make copies of it, and I will place it so you have it in the library starting the end of this week. It is very unfortunate that a lot of people received the vote by mail, that it was supposed to be for people who ever voted by vote by mail in 16, 17, and 18. I was inundated by calls by people who received the vote by mail and did not vote in those years. And I feel that everyone is responsible for themselves, and they should, if you want to vote by mail, you opt in. You should not opt out. Someone should not push that on you. The vote is a sacred moment that you have a choice when you vote, and it should be also your choice on how you want to vote. So the vote by mail removal request form, you can get it personally from the county clerk's office, but I will make copies of it and have it available, at the library. Maybe they can, have them on their counter there, because that's like the hub of the town. And hopefully for next election, it won't be so confusing. The thing that is very disturbing also is the cost to this. The cost was the initial $2 million initiative from the state, and also the cost and the burden it put on the Board of Election employees, and the cost to the county by having this initiative. So I also would like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and we do have a lot to be thankful for this wonderful country that we live in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Rizzoli.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to thank the DPW for a quick response, addressing potholes on Phillips Drive, and the police department also for addressing a stop sign that was damaged. I think, residents in this town really appreciate what our police department does. We're the 15th safest in the country. I think nowadays with so many false complaints going around and everything, derogatory things about the police department, I can't thank you enough for the job that you do. You do a tremendous job in this town. And happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Happy Thanksgiving to our residents. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no hands, I'll close the council comments by also saying that this was a very difficult election cycle in terms of the absentee ballots and the provisional ballots. I was up at the Board of Elections when they were, going through them and counting them, and it was a really craziness. So I think it has to change as well, and I think it should be up to you to decide how you want to vote. Also, there was an email sent to us by Mr. Bill Bath, and it's letting us know that there will be a mass on Sunday, November 24th at 8:30 a.m. at St. Bernadette's Church for the late Councilman Reggie Butler. So if anyone is interested in going, I know a lot of people miss Reggie Butler. I just too want to wish everyone a very happy and a healthy Thanksgiving. And I know this year I have a lot to really be thankful for, with my son feeling so much better. So everyone have a great holiday. Thank you. Report of the Township Clerk.
Okay. With the elections over, I just want to take the opportunity to thank the Police Department, Chief Volkert, Captain Mandola, Police Officer Jimmy Erickson, and all the others in the Police Department who helped throughout the entire day, throughout the evening, with dropping off supplies at the election. Thank you very much. I thank you also to the Finance Department, Beth and Vicky, for all their assistance that they give election night, Public Works Department, Kyle and Casey, and for all the other staff. The Recreation Department, Matt Mercurio and Pat Schiffer, and my staff, Sue and Nicole. Thank you all. It couldn't have been done without you. Thank you to Councilman Tony Peschetti, who helped with the drop-off and the return of the extra election bags, and for going to a different polling place when we needed him in the middle of the day. Thank you very much, Tony. We appreciate it. And if I left anyone out, and you know who you are, thank you. Also, please take note that the last meeting in 2019 will be held on Monday, December 16, 2019. Our December 2nd meeting has been canceled. And last but not least, happy Thanksgiving from the clerk's office.
Thank you. Anyone comment? Okay, and Stella, thank you again. You thanked everybody except you, naturally, and we'd like to say thank you to you.
Thank you.
for all your hard work. It was a really quite an experience, but thank you very much. I need a motion to accept her report.
Move it.
Okay. Okay, moved by Mrs. Walker, second by Dr. Greenberg.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Peschetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes, thanks.
Next is report of the Township Attorney.
None at this time.
Thank you. Administrative report, Mr. Shah.
Thank you, Council President. The administrative report for November 18, 2019. Item number 1, grand openings in Old Bridge. The Mayor's Office of Economic Development celebrated grand opening ribbon cutting ceremony for two new businesses recently, Soho Studio Salon and Old Bridge Marriage and Family Therapy. For more information on economic development opportunity, please call 732-721-5600 extension 7920 or email obedo@oldbridge.com. Item number 2, Town Hall meeting. The Municipal Alliance will host public session on prescription drugs and vaping on Monday, November 25th from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Old Bridge High School GNC Auditorium. The program will be hosted by retired Drug Enforcement Administration agent Doug Collier. Mayor Henry will participate, as well as Superintendent of School David Cittadino and Municipal Alliance Coordinator Karen Torrisi. For additional information, please call extension 4022. Item number 3, Thanksgiving Day holiday. On Thursday, November 28, 2019, and Friday, November 29, 2019, all municipal offices will be closed in observance of the Thanksgiving Day holiday. However, the recycling center will be open on Saturday, November 30th from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Item number 4, Shop Small on Small Business Saturday. On Saturday, November 30th, 2019, Township will participate in Small Business Saturday. American Express founded this special event in 2010 to help local businesses increase their customer base. For additional information on Small Business Saturday, residents and local businesses owners should contact the Mayor's Office of Economic Development at extension 7920 or visit americanexpress.com. Item number 5, author visit. The Medicine Old Bridge Township Historical Society, in conjunction with the Mayor's Office and the Old Bridge Public Library, is proud to present author Stephen Snyder, who will discuss his award-winning book, Shot Down, the true story of the author's father, pilot Howard Snyder, and the crew of famous B-17 bomber during World War II. One of the crew members was Joseph Musial, a resident of Lawrence Harbor and nephew of baseball legend Stan Musial. Mr. Snyder will present his book on Wednesday, December 4th at 7 p.m. at the Arthur M. Haney Building, Old Bridge Public Library. For more information, please call Mayor's Office at extension 2040. Item number 6, Fall Curbside Leaf Collection. The Department of Public Works will conduct the final round of leaf collection the week of December 2nd in Ward 1 through 4 and the week of December 9th on Ward 5 and 6. Please visit oldbridge.com for the complete schedule or contact Department of Public Works at extension 6140. Item number 7, Annual Pearl Harbor Remembrance Ceremony. On Friday, December 6, 2019, the Township will commemorate Pearl Harbor Day with a wreath-laying ceremony at the Veterans Memorial located next to the Richard Cooper Civic Center. The event will start at 10:30 a.m. For additional information, residents should contact the Mayor's Office at extension 2040. Item number 8, Business Alliance Holiday Celebration. The annual holiday event will take place Thursday, December 12, 2019 from 6 to 8 p.m. It will be hosted by Ruby Falls, located at 3314 Route 9 South in Deep Rum Shopping Center. Attendees are asked to bring a new unwrapped toy for the Toys for Tots Toy Drive, which is sponsored in partnership with All American Ford. Please RSVP to obedo@oldbridge.com or call extension 2060. Item number 9, Annual Christmas Tree and Menorah Lighting Event. The Township will hold its annual Christmas tree and menorah lighting event on Monday, December 16, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. in Municipal Complex Courtyard. The Old Bridge High School Choir will perform, and there will be a visit from Santa Claus. For additional information about this annual event or other upcoming event program, residents should contact the Department of Parks and Recreation at extension 4999 or visit oldbridge.com. Item number 10, Old Bridge Food Bank Holiday Collection. Anyone wishing to contribute to the Old Bridge Food Bank this holiday season can drop off donation at the food bank, the George Bush Center Silver Lining, or the Old Bridge Public Library. For additional information and/or a list of needed items, residents should contact the food bank at extension 6625 or visit the township website at oldbridge.com. And I want to add one more item, and then Mayor has another item to add. Final Township of Old Bridge 150th Anniversary Celebration of 2019. As the 2019 come to close, so does our celebration of Old Bridge Township's 150th anniversary. On Sunday, December 15, 2019, the Old Bridge Madison Township Historical Society invites you to join them as they celebrate Old Bridge 150th with a day filled with fun activities at the Thomas Warren Museum from 12 to 4 p.m. They will be hosting special tree lighting ceremony, and delightful sing-along will be led by the Voice of Old Bridge Choir. For further information, please call 732-566-2108. Mayor?
Thank you, Council. I have a new item that was too new to even get printed today. I'd like to bring to Council's attention yesterday, the 17th, I had a privilege of attending an event. The Old Bridge Sarah South Rebels Youth Football Organization hosted at Lombardi Field the New Jersey Suburban Youth Football Super Bowl round. Was very well attended with teams from all over the state. The Rebels had representation at the 5th and 6th grade levels. I am pleased to announce that the 6th grade team won their game against Summit 14-13 and were named champions at that level. We need, as a council and a town, we need to congratulate the players, the parents, but most of all, the organization and coaches for their efforts and commitment to the game of football in its purest form, and their commitment to the youth of our youngsters here in Old Bridge. They certainly made us, Old Bridge, proud yesterday. We're going to ask them to come at a future council meeting for recognition, and I would like to say for the record that it was the best football game I watched all day yesterday. Thank you.
Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Thank you, Mayor. Anyone have any comments on the report? I'll take a motion to accept it.
Move it.
Moved by Mrs. Walker, second by Mr. Murphy.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti? Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes.
Next will be our consent agenda. I'd like to take a motion and a second to bring it forward and take it to the public.
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Walker, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli. Is there anyone in the public who would like to be heard on any of the consent agenda items? It's in reference to the consent agenda? Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, public will be next, I promise. Okay, so if there's no one for the consent agenda, I'll close it to the public and go to council for separations. On my left, separations, anyone? Mr. Merwin?
16.
On my right, Mr. Pescetti.
C11.
Anyone else? Seeing no hands, I would ask to pass the balance.
Second.
Cahill.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mr.
Who was the
Pescetti.
second? On the balance, Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
C11?
Okay, C11, Mr. Pescetti.
Yeah, can I just get a brief?
Yes, this is for repairs to our roadside mower unit. It's a very large mower with a boom mower that goes on the back. The boom has become bent over the last couple of years just with the amount of use that it gets, and this is to replace the boom on the back.
Thank you very much.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Biscotti, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
And who?
Mr. Rizzoli.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Biscotti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes.
Next is C16, Mr. Merwin.
Yeah. My I only see one contractor on this, on the bid or for the thing. there
This
any-
is a professional service contract. The council authorized, through the parent open process, selective number of architect service providers. And then Nicole would be sending out them for request for proposal. And based on that, we recommend.
Okay, this is just for the
yeah.
architects then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Merwin?
Move it if nobody else says anything.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Merwin, second by Mr. Murphy.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Biscotti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes.
Okay, there are no ordinances for first reading, so now we'll go to public comments on any subject matter. Come on down. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jackie. I'm a resident at Central Park, and I want to thank all you guys for, I don't know who exactly voted on it being cleaned up. I know that the mayor had a big part of it, and we love, as a neighborhood, we love all the beautiful changes that are happening, the cleanup, all the trees. It looks great. But one major thing is that the sign that we've been privy to that has been approved, and I think it's already been ordered, and through our Facebook page as a collaborative, through Central Park, nobody likes the sign. And I know that it's something, it might be silly to a lot of people, but to us as a community, it's really important to us that the sign, when you first enter our neighborhood, it represents the beauty of our neighborhood. And we don't feel that sign, we didn't have a say in it. We just feel that maybe we could have a better design for it, better quality, something different than what has already been ordered. I'm pleading with whoever it was that made that decision.
We've rethought it. We tried to do the best we can. No good deed will go unpunished. The only funds we had available at the time to get it done immediately was with Clean Communities.
Right.
So we mimicked other signs that are around town, entering other developments. Difference of opinion, what looks good, what doesn't look good. But we've put it off. We'll revisit the issue. We'll revisit the item in the spring. We will not be putting any signs up. Okay.
Okay.
That's it. I'm happy now. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Did you want to say anything?
Did you want to add something? Yeah, you could come and talk, absolutely. Listen, you sat here all that time, come and speak, absolutely. And he's been so good, so he can come up too.
Let him come up
Yeah,
and sit.
Yeah, let him come and sit with you. Yeah, okay, all right. He's so cute.
Especially after sitting through that whole meeting, it seems kind of petty to even bring up
Yeah.
the sign.
No, not at all. It's a concern.
But it looks so beautiful out front, and we kind of just now we just want it to look even
Even
better.
I know.
Honestly, there was a wonderful man that made a Facebook group.
Louis
He went
Skirbo.
to every single person's door
Yeah.
to announce this Facebook page,
Yeah.
and it brought the whole community together. I'm a terrible public speaker.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're absolutely
But,
fine.
there was a member, I guess, that's been kind of in touch with the town, kind of self-proclaimed
Yeah, because you don't
advocate.
have an HOA, correct? You don't have, right. That makes a
Right,
difference
well,
in
and that might
terms of
be
some
why
of the
we
things.
don't get a say in this, so. But he's kind of taken it upon himself to become kind of the advocate for our neighborhood. Things that have been, like the sinkholes are super concerning for me, scary. So I'm,
Gazebo is also being redone,
the
so.
the playground, I don't know if that's been addressed,
Yeah,
but it's
at the
very
playground.
outdated and kind of, I don't know if it's dangerous. There's no lighting around it at all. But Mr. Skirbo, the one that's been kind of communicating back and forth what's going on, giving us updates every time, Parks and Recreation's coming, has then mentioned a sign that, and we're like, we'll pay for the sign. You know, I mean, there's a ton of us talking about it just because now it looks so beautiful. We want a giant sign to represent Central Park. But, you know,
That's something just beautiful.
it's
Yeah,
just
no,
something that we've
that's-
all talked about collectively, so we're not complaining.
No,
And
no.
we're definitely,
We didn't take
every
it that
good
way at
deed
all.
is appreciated.
Okay.
But that was just something that we had talked about, and so we did actually call the mayor's office, and there was a woman there that dismissed several of us. So we kind of felt like we had to bring it here. And maybe we're starting too high with calling the mayor's office. Maybe there's a different department we're supposed to talk to.
No.
about
We
it,
didn't
know
but
where else to
We're just looking for
Fine.
direction. But we're incredibly grateful.
Yeah, no,
Mayor,
no.
Mayor, I mean, I'm just so excited to hear the shout out to the rebels. My son's a rebel.
Yay,
I mean,
see?
you're wonderful.
Very
You go to
nice.
all the, first pitch stuff, the firehouse stuff. My husband's a fireman.
No.
I mean, so.
No,
please
the
don't think
intent
we
is there
are
to do good.
Ungrateful. But
Very
we just
good.
wanted to be heard.
Yeah, no, that's fine. You can
Could I-
come anytime you like. Seriously, that's what this forum is here for you guys and for him. So good.
Mayor, can I just say something?
Yeah, Deb, go.
I walked with Mary in Central Park when we were campaigning, and that's how we came to find out a lot of the problems that
Yeah.
you had, and
Yeah.
we had spoken to the mayor about it, and I think that's why all the things got addressed.
We learned how to
because-
walk downhill.
Yeah, when you have an
used
opportunity
to
to
live
walk
there.
door to door,
I'm on
unless people
Washington
call us,
I
we
used to
don't
live
really
on
know what your
Athens, the
concerns
one
are,
that
because
has
not in
the
every
star.
single street, so.
That was my house.
Started like collectively talking about it on this page, and so we're like, where do we begin? And somebody kind of took that initiative, which was great, but we were like, hey, can we get can we?
But
we can,
actually, if you're not happy with the sign, I think as a neighborhood, you can get together and contribute and have the sign that you want, because it does look nice there. Our Public Works Department Parks and Recreation
better.
did a great job up there, yes.
Hey, thank you so much.
Go at one project home, then you want to do something else.
But
It's
you-
just-
Like that circle drive with like something glorious right in the center of it, like.
Well, if you have any, we're our husbands are on fire company together, so you could reach me whenever you have any problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for
so much,
coming.
everybody. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for
Yeah, no,
everything.
thank you for coming and sharing with us. We appreciate it. And you have a happy Thanksgiving. So cute. Your purse, yeah. Okay, anyone else in the public wish to be heard this evening? Seeing no hands, I'll close public and go to the council. Anyone on my left, John?
Mayor, when does it end? I get it. You don't have to pick up your own signs.
Okay. No, no. Anyone else? You through, John? I'm sorry, are you through? Okay. Anyone else on my left? Anyone on my right? Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Yep.
Second.
Second by Mr. Rizzoli. Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Cahill? Yes. Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin? Yes. Mr. Murphy? Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli, I think I missed you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.